Welcome to the Real News Network in Baltimore. I'm Kim Brown. Donald Trump on Friday unveiled his administration's official go-ahead for the Keystone XL pipeline, a controversial project that was rejected by his predecessor, former President Barack Obama. Here is the president now making his announcement in the Oval Office with his economic advisors, union officials of the building trades, and Russ Girling, the president of TransCanada, the builders of the proposed pipeline.
It's a great day for American jobs and a historic moment for North America and energy independence. This announcement is part of a new era of American energy policy that will lower costs for American families and very significantly reduce our dependence on foreign oil and create thousands of jobs right here in America. And I also would like to add, I think it's a lot safer to have pipelines than to use other forms of transportation for your product. When completed, the Keystone XL pipeline will span 900 miles, wow, and have the capacity to deliver more than 800,000 barrels of oil per day to the Gulf Coast refinery. That's some big pipeline.
Some big pipeline indeed, but will it in fact lower costs for American families, reduce our dependence on foreign oil, or even create thousands of jobs right here in America, as they stated in the press conference? As Donald Trump says, well, with us to help break this down is Art Tanderup. Art is a farmer. He's also a retired school teacher from Neely, Nebraska. The proposed pathway for the Keystone XL pipeline is set to cut right across his entire farm from northwest to south. He's also a member of the Cowboy Indian Alliance, made up of Native American tribes and landowners that live along the proposed pipeline route and who have engaged in rallies in Washington, D.C., opposing the construction of the Keystone XL. So, Art, welcome to the Real News. We're very glad that you were able to join us.
Thank you.
So, Art, let's take a look at another clip from today, on Friday, an exchange between Donald Trump and Russ Girling, who is the president of TransCanada, the builders of the Keystone XL pipeline.
So the bottom line, Keystone finished. They're going to start construction when?
Well, we got some work to do in Nebraska to get our permits there, so
Nebraska.
we're looking forward to working through
I'll call Nebraska.
The local...
You know why Nebraska is a great governor? They have a great governor.
We've been working there for some time, and I do believe that we'll get through that process, but obviously have to engage with local landowners, tribal communities. So we're reaching out to those over the coming months to get the other necessary permits that we need, and then we look forward to start construction.
Okay, I'm sure Nebraska will be good. Peter's a fantastic governor, has done a great job, and I'll call him today.
So to be clear, Nebraska is still the only state on the Keystone XL's proposed route that has not given permission. Is that far from a done deal, as far as you know, Art, with Donald Trump merely having to call Nebraska's governor, Pete Ricketts, to change his mind on that?
Well, the president can call Pete Ricketts and they can have a wonderful conversation, but that's not going to change the process that needs to happen in Nebraska. It has to go through the Public Service Commission, and that means that TransCanada has filed an application, and then like we landowners and others can become interveners in that process, and we can present evidence and so forth about why this pipeline shouldn't go through the sandhills of Nebraska and over the Ogallala Aquifer, and the commission will then have to make a decision. They can reject the current route. They can place the route someplace else in Nebraska, or they can deny the route totally from Nebraska. So they have one of those three options to do. And we obviously hope that they decide that the route should not exist in Nebraska.
So you're talking about the Public Service Commission in Nebraska, but give us some other possible legal obstacles that might hinder or possibly block outright the building of this pipeline.
Well, obviously, the process that the president went through with a very speedy process and to the Department of State and the State Department, and not going through a new EIS. The President Obama had rejected this, which meant we needed to start over at the beginning. And we understand there will be legal action against the President and the State Department on this. So that whole decision will probably be in court very soon.
So the pipeline's proposed route would cut across your farmland, Art. So why are you so concerned about the effects that a spill could have? What would a spill of that pipeline do to your property?
On our property, we're in the eastern sandhills and over the Ogallala Aquifer, which means that we are in a very fragile environment. If we have a leak, it goes through our sand and down into the water that's just a few feet under our feet. It's very close to us. So, if there's a leak there, it gets into that aquifer. It cannot be cleaned up. It's just impossible to clean it up.
So let's take another look at a clip of Russ Girling, president of TransCanada.
We're going to use the best technology. It will create thousands of jobs and important tax revenues in local communities. That's something often that's overlooked in projects like this, is local communities benefit greatly from these projects. It gives them tax revenues in which they can invest in schools, hospitals, roads, teachers, nurses, all of those things, build the fabric of communities and make those places better for those folks to live.
So Art, what about what Russ Girling says in terms of the economic contributions to the community from the tax revenues? I mean, what would you say to that?
Well, they promise some property tax relief. It's personal property, which means that it gets less and less over a period of 15 years, where it turns into nothing. So after 15 years, there's no property tax except for the locations where they have pump stations, which TransCanada will own, and there they'll have to pay property tax on those, which will be minimal. So the tax issue is very limited and is not, does not justify the pipeline.
So some of the other promises coming from the Trump administration, along with TransCanada officials, is the promise of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. So will the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline really be the job-creating project the way Donald Trump describes it?
Actually, no. Yes, there will be some temporary jobs, but once the job, once it's built, there will be 35 permanent jobs, and then when the pipeline leaks, there will obviously have to be some cleanup jobs. There will not be one job from TransCanada in Neely, Nebraska. There won't be any jobs up and down this route. We'll be lucky if any of those 35 jobs for this pipeline will be even in Nebraska.
So Art, talk to us about TransCanada and their dealings with landowners and property owners in Nebraska. Has TransCanada made you an offer on your farmland?
Yes, back in the spring of 2012, after they announced this route, we had a land agent that came, and they made it sound so wonderful. They never told us there were tar sands in this. We didn't know a whole lot about it, and so obviously we weren't ready to jump on the bandwagon. And once we did the research, we discovered there's no way we want anything to do with this. And as time progressed, we have become extensively involved in working against this pipeline.
And what was their tone when they came to you, or even after you rejected their offer? Was it still amicable, as it were, or did they become hostile?
They hire people and they train them. So they're the nicest used car salesmen you'll ever meet. And they're wonderful people when they come visit you and talk to you on the phone. And they're good salespeople. That's their business. So they don't get nasty with you, and or they haven't. We've had some nasty conversations later on, but that's another story.
So Art, talk to us about the response from your neighbors and from other Nebraskans who have are also being confronted with this possibility of this pipeline being built. What has been the response from the community around you?
Well, it's a mixed response. Some people, see the money as an opportunity to help pay some bills. Other people, are like us and did the research and found out this isn't a good thing. So you have a mixed environment. And, there are about 100 of us landowners across the state that have said no. We don't believe this is a good thing. We don't plan on allowing TransCanada to put their pipeline through our land and water.
So can the Keystone XL pipeline still be stopped, in your opinion? And what are some of the obstacles in the way of it being built?
Well, we feel we have an opportunity in the Public Service Commission, as I stated earlier, and we were able to beat it before. We don't have as friendly a president, and he's already done, what he did today. So, we have more strikes against us, but we still have an opportunity to make this thing, we have an opportunity in the Public Service Commission, I believe. And there's also, we have some opportunities in the courts.
So, Art, some would possibly argue that Donald Trump made the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline a promise of his presidential campaign, and that he is simply fulfilling this promise. And Nebraska was one of the states that voted for Donald Trump. So are the majority of Nebraskans in support of this because this is a campaign promise that he made, and that is the candidate that your fellow Nebraskans selected?
Well, like you said, most of Nebraska voted for him. Some of us did not. He's fulfilling a promise he made, and he likes to fulfill his promises, he says. But I think he's running into a little bit of a roadblock here, and he doesn't understand how things work in Nebraska. And, I'm hoping we have a fair democratic process in our Public Service Commission, and they're able to present facts and shut this thing down.
And lastly, Art, what was your reaction and the reaction of your wife and your family when the announcement came down that Trump is indeed greenlighting this project?
Well, we had early warning signs. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. And so obviously we're very disappointed. But yet we know we have to move forward and we have to fight this thing. And hopefully we can beat it again.
All right. Well, joining us from near Neely, Nebraska, we've been speaking with Art Tanderup. He is a farmer. He's also a retired school teacher, and the proposed pathway for the Keystone XL pipeline is set to cut across his entire farm. So, Art, we appreciate you joining us. We hope to stay updated on further developments because this pipeline was stopped once before. So we will see how the fight shakes out, and just know that we are pulling for you, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you all for watching and supporting the Real News Network.